Hey folks, Jackdaw here. Today we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, here to address a pressing question. Is there any hope left for Dragon Age Dreadwolf? With recent developments at BioWare and the deep-seated concerns within the fandom, it's currently getting quite tough to keep up the faith for Dad. So today I am taking a deep dive into the franchise's past, its current status, and the unknown future of this beloved franchise. Together, let's explore this question and find out if there is any hope left for Dragon Age Dreadwolf. So, kicking into the history of Dragon Age and starting with Origins, it's easy to forget that fantasy games were once somewhat of a niche overshadowed by sci-fi and first-person shooters during the early days of console gaming. But in 2009, everything changed with the arrival of Dragon Age Origins. It was seen as the spiritual heir to the original Baldur's Gate series, and it revitalized console fantasy RPGs, setting a brand new bar for the entire RPG genre. The vast world of Thedas emerged teeming with intricate details, pulling players directly into its story and its characters. Origins had it all: a captivating story, characters you'd never forget, and a clever mix of classic RPG combat and faster-paced action, perfect for modern gamers. It marked a turning point in the franchise, and once you understood what made Dragon Age Origins so special, it only made the subsequent entries feel somewhat disappointing for not recapturing the same magic that Origins had, despite meagre attempts. One standout feature of Dragon Age Origins was its commitment to classic RPG elements, the Origins system, a precursor to now what we see in Baldur's Gate 3, allowing players to distinctively craft their own experiences by being able to choose various backgrounds, like a human noble, elf commoner, or dwarf noble, influencing your character's motivations, relationships, and dialogues. These unique backstories led to individual quests and storylines that shaped your specific journey. However, since Dragon Age Origins, the series has notably moved away from this feature. What also made Origins unique was how it encouraged experimentation and problem solving, pushing players to think like their characters and explore various solutions. This unique approach, where no two players would have the same experience, was fundamental to the classic isometric RPG genre. Another defining feature was the game's tactic system, this being a combat mechanic that let you issue orders and control your party in real time. This created a more fluid, accessible, and engaging gameplay experience. It was an innovative approach that captivated all kinds of RPG enthusiasts, joining PC and console gamers together. Dragon Age Origins' success is written in the history books. It's an absolute triumph among fans and gaming critics, and it's since secured its place as a timeless classic in the RPG genre. It's obviously set a new standard for RPGs, paving the way for the franchise's future entries, and to this day, dare I say, only Baldur's Gate 3 really matches the impact and the success of Dragon Age Origins. Now moving up in the ranks, Dragon Age 2 represented a significant shift from the RPG formula established by Origins. It embraced a more action-packed, adrenaline-fueled experience with a faster-paced combat system. The storyline became more streamlined, featuring only a human player character, akin to Mass Effect's overall feel. In the setup, Hawke took on a role reminiscent of a fantasy shepherd. This departure from the RPG tradition meant fewer role-playing elements and no tactic system, thrusting players straight into the heart of the action. On top of its gameplay, the storytelling was exceptional, with Varric emerging as one of the most beloved characters in the series, serving as an intriguing, unreliable narrator in Hawke's tale. Amid this narrative richness, Kirkwall emerged as a meticulously crafted setting with deep political roots. The heart of the story revolved around Hawke's involvement in Kirkwall's conflicts, immersing players in the city's political intrigue and intricate social dynamics. This unique perspective, plus experiencing it all as Hawke, gave Dragon Age 2 a deeply personal feel, as we were able to have genuine influence over the world's characters. And the game's writing has been praised for its depth and complexity, allowing players to explore the motivations and personalities of the characters they travelled with. Some even argue today that Dragon Age 2 boasts the best character roster to date in the series. This level of character development particularly appealed to fans seeking a more character-driven and action-focused RPG experience. Nevertheless, despite these positive aspects, the game paled in comparison to what Dragon Age Origins had offered to the scene. The intended impact appeared to have been sidelined into side missions, and Hawke as a character didn't quite fit the role of a traditional RPG protagonist, and selecting a class other than a mage felt somewhat disconnected, as if the story wasn't being conveyed correctly. In retrospect, Dragon Age 2 2, with all of its many merits, failed to capture the epic scale of its predecessor, which left it out of sync with players' expectations. Part of the reason of this disparity could be attributed to the development timeline. BioWare had only 14 to 16 months to complete the game's development, which forced the team into an extended period of crunch. When you compare that to the 6 years that it took to develop Dragon Age Origins, it's clear why DA2 ended up with a smaller scope and the way it fundamentally is. And moving up once more, Dragon Age Inquisition was a landmark game in the series that aimed to recapture the magic of its predecessor Dragon Age Origins, and in many ways I would say that it did succeed. It brought back character customization from scratch, even introducing the Qunari race for the very first time, and it reintroduced the tactical combat system that OG fans had been yearning for. Inquisition blended classic RPG elements with new and innovative gameplay mechanics, featuring an open hub world structure that allowed players to explore the vast and beautifully realised world of Thedas. Here they could take on quests at their own pace and choose how they would shape the game's story through their own actions. Yet beneath the surface, a few minor setbacks could be found. The main story initially felt somewhat lacking, only truly blooming with the Trespasser DLC, and there were a surplus of side quests that didn't quite align with the central narrative, creating a slight dissonance with the overarching adventure. Ironically, despite its lofty ambitions, Inquisition retained an unexpectedly linear feel, perhaps a consequence of its rushed and challenging development, which was partly due to the switch from Eclipse Engine to Frostbite. And more importantly, Inquisition's vision was a significant departure from both Origins and Dragon Age 2, drawing more inspiration from titles like Skyrim. The goal, as former creative director Mike Laidlaw explained in Inquisition's Collector's Edition guidebook, was to create a game that could be enjoyed for 20 hours up to 200 hours, offering dynamic gameplay that adapted to the player's preferences. The core idea was actively driven gameplay, breaking away from the traditional story-to-story, level-to-level approach. With the benefit of hindsight, it's definitely clear that Inquisition did in fact realise its original vision upon launch. However, it wasn't without its flaws and the rocky development ride. Equally, many fans, like myself, didn't necessarily want Dragon Age to take any pages out of the Elder Scrolls. Instead, we hoped for smaller worlds with fewer fetch quests, but more meaningful, branching side content. It felt like Inquisition was following the RPG trends of the time, rather than charting its own path, like the franchise had initially intended with its successful launch. Despite its flaws, Dragon Age Inquisition holds a truly special place in my heart. It's a game that has defined my teen years, and if Dragon Age Dreadwolf were to embrace the style and essence of Inquisition, I would still be more than happy with it. However, and drawing more in line with the aim of this video, Inquisition does undeniably shed a bright spotlight on the identity challenges that BioWare has faced in shaping each of the Dragon Age games. Each installment has ventured down its own distinctive path, from hub-based open worlds to actively driven gameplay to a set human protagonist akin to Mass Effect to origin stories, thus raising many intriguing questions. What lies ahead for Dreadwolf, and how is it going to contribute to the ever-evolving identity of the Dragon Age series? And so now, as we look towards the future, Dragon Age Dreadwolf's success becomes a pivotal turning point, not only for the beloved franchise, but also for BioWare as a whole. And there's many reasons for that. Balancing the expectations of a very much diverse fanbase is a delicate challenge for the developers. Some players yearn for a return to the franchise's classic, tactics-based combat systems, while others crave a more fast-paced and action-packed experience, while others probably want loads of hub-based open worlds akin to Inquisition, offering a gameplay style that caters to a wide range of players without sacrificing the essence that defines the franchise as, quote, Dragon Age. And honestly, BioWare cannot pull this off. There is no way everybody is going to be satisfied with what they end up doing. Defining what makes a Dragon Age game is a matter of personal opinion. The series has constantly emphasised its characters, storyline and character development. However, when it comes to what is a Dragon Age game in terms of its gameplay, each installment has brought its own unique approach to the table. So what is Dreadwolf gonna do? The possibilities are wide open. Fast-paced action, slower strategic combat, more linear with freedom. It's gonna be a tough cookie to crack. Now, even more importantly than the game and fan expectations, it's essential to acknowledge the noticeable decline in the Dragon Age games since Origins. Even from the perspective of somebody who genuinely loves both Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition, I've said many times, but Inquisition is my favourite Dragon Age game because of the place it has in my heart. But even so, there has been this notable decline. The journey on the development side has been far from smooth. Origins enjoyed a generous 6-year development cycle, while Dragon Age 2 had to fit in a mere 14 to 16 months of production. Whereas whereas Inquisition was given about 4 years of development if you include pre-production. Dreadwolf has been in development since 2015, but we know that that hasn't been fully the case because it's undergone numerous reworks and countless pivots. Just last year in 2022, it apparently entered its alpha phase, the stage where the game is fully playable and it's all on QA testing, tweaking and iterating on current features. Typically the second last stage before launch. However, reports suggest that the game still requires another year of development, and adding even more to the mounting concerns, recent layoffs at BioWare affected approximately 50 employees, not including the large part of QA testers who were also recently laid off. Kind of ironic that the game is in its alpha stage, yet a bunch of the QA team are now no longer working on the project. In regards to the 50 laid over employees, notable influential figures like Lucas Chris Johnson and Mary Kirby have been instrumental in creating the Dragon Age franchise. Lucas had a huge impact in the development of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and Mary was the creative force behind beloved characters like Varric and significant aspects of Thedas' lore like the Qunari, the Chant of Light, and so on. Their departures raised significant apprehensions about the future of the studio. Dreadwolf is supposed to be a direct sequel to Inquisition, continuing Solas' story and exploring many more consequences behind his actions. However, it's been nearly a decade since the game's announcement, and the significant turnover at BioWare raises multiple flags. The constant shifting of team members and disruptions in development reflect inner turmoil. Even the considerable failure of Anthem led to the removal of multiplayer from Dreadwolf. While the official statements from the general manager claim unwavering commitment to this project, there's little concrete evidence to support this assertion. In the world of video games, prolonged development time often leads to subpar outcomes, with only a few rare exceptions. And if we are focusing strictly on BioWare, look at Anthem as an example and Mass Effect Andromeda. Both of them had lengthy development cycles with little work actually being done until the final run, and they ended up being very much subpar experiences. At this current juncture in BioWare's journey, Dreadwolf's fate looms larger and will profoundly influence the company's fate. As the days go by, the hope for this once great studio does fade, and the success of Dragon Age Dreadwolf is going to bear the sole responsibility of shaping the fate of both the franchise and the very future of BioWare itself. So is Dragon Age Dreadwolf doomed? Is there any hope for this franchise? I really want to hope so, and I do believe that the current team working on this game still have something to show, and it's the team that has worked on the previous Dragon Age games like Dragon Age Inquisition and the Trespasser DLC, and I really want them to do the best they can. So I don't think it's completely doomed. I do want this game to be successful and to be fantastic. Equally though, I'm very much frustrated at EA and their corporate tactics, the way that they crunch their developers and the disgusting things that they do to their dev teams, like laying off a large part of the team to reflect their future projections. And so in the same regard, I do want some comeuppance for studios like EA, for them to see the downfall of their actions, but that doesn't mean that I want Dreadwolf to fail just to prove a point to EA. I doubt they would even see or take accountability of their own actions anyway. But no, I don't think all hope is lost. Let me know what you think down below. What other worries have you regarding Dreadwolf and BioWare? Do you think Dreadwolf is going to be the final Dragon Age game? Do you think we're even going to see Dreadwolf? What other worries do you have? Until the next one, you're already in the right place for the latest on Dragon Age Dreadwolf and everything that's going on with its development. I've been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa.